Good morning. My name is Steve Fink. I'm the Assistant Athletic Director for Media Relations here at the University of South Carolina. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to today's press conference announcing our new men's basketball coach. Format for today will be similar to what we've done in the past. We'll bring up Athletics Director Eric Hyman, who will make some opening statements. He will then introduce the new coach, and we will have the coach then make some statements. Following that, we'll have a question and answer period for the coach. And once again, we'll have the microphones available, so just raise your hand and we'll get a microphone to you to get that question. For anyone who is here with the media or also watching online, we will have a conference call with the new coach at 12:15 Eastern Time this afternoon. That information is being sent out through our support systems. And if you have any questions on that phone number, please contact Emily Feeney in the Media Relations office, and she can help you get that passcode and phone number. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce the Athletics Director of the University of South Carolina, Eric Hyman.
Thank you, Steve. It's a great day to be a Gamecock. It's a great day to be a Gamecock. We are committed to have a viable men's basketball program. And we want to have a basketball program that mirrors what we've been able to do in football, our most visible sports, women's basketball, and baseball. We are committed to do that. Now, searches today are very difficult, and the high visible searches. You know, it used to, I reflected back during this whole process, 15 years ago, you could bring the coach and his family, and people would know who it is, and they would come in and visit with the search committee. It'd be very open. You could walk up to the president's office, and you go down to the school cafeteria, and you could meet with the people in the athletic department, and it was a lot easier back then than it is today. Today, when you conduct a search like this, people tweet what you're trying to do. You almost have to have majored in the CIA, a lot of covert activities that are going on, and you end up using headhunters. And during the whole process, you want to get the best potential candidate, individual to coach the basketball program, and you're always dancing around on the edge of a volcano, making sure you don't fall into it, and make sure that you have the best viable candidate for a program such as the University of South Carolina. What I say to you as far as the process is concerned, it was the most diverse pool of candidates I've ever been associated with in the 20 plus years I've been doing this business. There was a lot of interest, a lot of excitement towards this particular position. When we got started, I sat down with a high school coach. I sat down with a former coach here and a former player. And I really wanted to get the perspective of the University of South Carolina, the historical view of South Carolina basketball. And if you look through the state, if you look back through the history of South Carolina, there's been some unbelievable years as far as players that come out of South Carolina high schools. And then there are some years that are not as plentiful. So if you look back from a historical perspective, you look back in Frank McGuire's era, and a lot of our players were out of state. If you look at Dave Odom's, a lot of our players were out of state. But you went through a time period when Coach Fogler was here, we were able to recruit, and we had a lot of players from the state, and we were able to achieve on a very high level. So you look back from a historical perspective, you obviously have to recruit in the state of South Carolina. But you also have to be able to recruit outside the state. And that's why we have Coach Martin here today, because of his unbelievable contacts. He is a proven recruiter. He's done a fantastic job at Kansas State University, and I totally anticipate him to be able to take that talent here to the University of South Carolina. Now, during the process, it's obviously in a condensed time. You have to do things as quietly as you possibly can. You can't raise the red flags and the antennas, because that might hurt the potential candidates that are out there. During this, I talked to high school coaches. I talked to former players. I talked to current assistant coaches in the college level. I talked to current head coaches in the college level. I talked to former assistant coaches and former head coaches. I talked to the NCAA. I talked to shoe reps. I talked to conference office personnel, ADs, former ADs, agents, current players, and even went to the extent of talking to trainers around the country, because I wanted to be able to get the right person here at the University of South Carolina. So you had to do a tremendous amount of due diligence. And quite frankly, I think we got the right person. If you look at the narrative of Frank Martin, this thing, and one night, in the middle of the night, when I couldn't sleep, I got on the computer and I started just really looking at who is Frank Martin and what his success has been. 5 years, he's taking every team as a head coach at Kansas State University to postseason competition. He's never lost the first round. Never lost the first round. He has a record of 117-54 overall record. He has a record of 50-32 in a really tough league. Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Baylor. It's very, very good basketball schools. Tremendous basketball schools. In the 5 years that he was at Kansas State University, it's the most successful 5-year period in the history of the school in basketball. The most successful period when he was the head coach of the Kansas State University. He was runner-up National Coach of the Year. He was a Big 12 Coach of the Year. He's had 4 All-Americans since becoming the head coach. This past year, he had 14 out of the 15 games were sellouts. 14 out of the 15 games were sellouts. He finished in the top 4 in the league 4 out of 5 years in the Big 12. As I told Dr. Pastides, one of the most impressive things that he has accomplished is off the basketball court. He improved his APR 103 points in the 5 years he was there, and they have an APR of 960. So I'm very proud, not only on the field of competition, but in the classroom, he's developing young people. If you really want to know who is Frank Martin, this is what I wrote down. He's sincere, he's loyal, he's very personable. He's a hard worker, he's a hell of a recruiter, he's a basketball coach. Yes, he's fiery, and he's very animated. He's down to earth, and he develops relationships. He's highly respected nationally, highly respected. But really, the true coach in the family is Anya. She is a graduate of the University of Massachusetts. She was a track athlete, and she's a former track coach. So really, the true coach is his wife, Anya, and they will bring three children. They have 3 young children, 13, 16, and 4. So we really want to welcome Coach Martin to the South Carolina family, to Gamecock Nation. We couldn't be more pleased to have somebody of his success, his caliber, his integrity, and his commitment to get South Carolina basketball on the same level that Dawn's got her program, Steve's got his program, and Ray's got his program. I'd like to bring Coach Martin up here, and Dr. Pastides, our president, is to give him a welcoming gift on behalf of the University of South Carolina.
I want the coach to know that when I was elected president of this great university, on that day there wasn't but half the press corps that we have in the room today. I also want to thank our Speaker of the House, Bobby Harrell, to be here today, our own Senator from Lexington, Nikki Setzler. Proud to have both of you today. Just briefly, let me tell you, I met Anya and Frank Martin, Patricia and I did, late last evening at the house, at the president's house on the Horseshoe, but they didn't come in the front door, they came in through the kitchen. There was so much anticipation. But I want to tell you, in the first 5 minutes with them, I knew that they were already part of the Gamecock family. They kept talking about the players, and you're going to have a lot of questions today. It's going to be hard for you to get the coach to do anything other than talk about his players. They are his family. So we're honored to have Anya and Frank Martin join the Fighting Gamecocks. I've got 2 small gifts. He's already got a great Gamecock tie on today, but for those other occasions when you want to be dressed up, this is a garnet and black Palmetto state flag that we're so proud of, and we give it to you for those occasions. And of course, a Gamecock hat for the even dressier occasions. You can wear the hat. So ladies and gentlemen, Coach Frank Martin.
much. Did Coach Spurrier get one of these, or he get a visor when he was here? First things first, I got to say thank you to Kansas State, that community, those administrators, that fan base, those players that all believed in who I was, that they gave me an opportunity. They believed in our staff to give us what we needed to go win. Those kids that believed in us and our message to come play for us and then sacrifice to go win the games and take care of business the right way. Because of that collective effort, it's what's given me an opportunity to be here in front of you today and be so excited about leading that Gamecock charge to elevate our basketball program here to where it needs to be. 8 years ago, I was an assistant coach at Northeastern University, and I got a phone call on a Friday afternoon. And the phone call, as an assistant coach, you never know what that next step is. And there was Bob Huggins, and he called, and in the middle of a conversation, you know, he said, "Frank, you know, I've got unbelievable trust in you. And I've got a situation where I've got to hire somebody, and I need a guy I can trust." And I said to him, "Hugs, I've told you for many years, if you ever need me, I'm here." He says, "Well, I need you." Well, at the present time, when I was having that conversation, I was at a restaurant in Boston, Massachusetts, and across from me at the table on Friday afternoon was Anya, and we were not married at the time. And during that conversation, I hung up, I accepted the job, and I told them I'd be there Monday. And later on that day, you know, she kind of looked at me bewildered, and you know, she had her own career. And she said to me, "Are you planning to keep me as a part of your dream?" And there was that moment that told me, this is the one. This is who needs to be my wife. This is who needs to be the mother of my children, because she's the one that's going to keep me straight. And I know the public persona is that I'm difficult. Look at her. If she even looks at me, I'm running. So I can't be more thankful to have such an incredible wife like her that understands what we do, that's so willing to be a part of it, and so engaging in the people that believe in us. And I'm extremely thankful to her. Eddie Fogler, who was responsible for Coach Huggins getting the job at Kansas State University 6 years ago. And over the last 6 years, we've developed a friendship, and I can't explain. I just said a little while ago that I'm exhausted from the last 3 days, but I'm so excited I still couldn't sleep last night. And if for some reason I started to sleep, the BlackBerry went off again, so it woke me up. But but Eddie Fogler, just so thankful for him, for our friendship, and for also believing in me. Richard Katz, my attorney, who over the years has become a loyal friend, an unbelievable person as I've been walking through this path that only God knows what's in front of us. And we work our tails off to stay on the right path. He's been an unbelievable friend to help me, guide me through those steps that I have to take in my professional life. And then another young man, another person that has become part of my team, and Brett Just, that because of this, you know, as you great folks get to know me and my family, what you see on 6 seconds of ESPN is nothing like I really am. And Brett has become a very important part of my professional team to help me correct that. Solely responsible for getting me on CBS this past weekend, which was kind of interesting because I'm engaged in talks with Eric, and at the same time, I'm doing live national television, and you've got to kind of be careful, but very thankful for that group of people. Like I said earlier, the players, 2 years ago, when Jacob Pullen was a senior, that group of guys left as the winningest players in the history of Kansas State basketball. Well, this past year, Jamar Samuels, Victor Ojale are 2 seniors on this team. Now they left as the winningest players in the history of Kansas State basketball. Nothing good is accomplished without those kids being committed to the mission, without them having a great experience, without them having trust in what's happening. Because that's the only way that we can all succeed, is by having that mission attacking that mission united, everyone believing in the same message. And those players, their commitment to all their responsibilities. You know, we live in an age where we all get judged on wins and losses. And I understand that. I'm a big boy, I get it. But to me, it's about people. It's about kids. It's a little deeper. I believe that if you take care of all the important things, help prepare them become men. So when they're done with their experience, they're prepared to become a husband, an employee, a father, all the responsibilities that life throws at you. If you take care of all those things, the scoreboard takes care of itself. And that's the approach that I take. I never focus on a score. I never focus on a negative emotion. It's always about dealing with a negative emotion and turning it into a positive and getting better for that next challenge. And that's the way we do it in our players. To go from a place where when I got hired, our APR was 857 to what it is today, 960. It's a credit to the academic folks. It's a credit to those kids. It's a credit to our staff that united, we've had the right kids do the right things around the right people to get them to find success. We also had the best graduation rate in the Big 12 in my 5 years there. I've got one young man that left without getting his degree in my time there, or our time there, and he's one class short, and he's playing professionally in Latvia. And I told him that his professional career will come to an end unless he gets his degree this summer. And I think he understands that I will hunt them down and find them. But Dr. Pastides for having the confidence of turning over the keys to this program to me, to the mission that we have at hand. I'm all about being honest. I'm all about loyalty. I never forget people that believe in me. I remember my first year, I joke about this, the life expectancy or the over-under on how long my career would last was probably about 6 days. And here we are 5 years later, and the confidence that Dr. Pastides has shown to believe in my family, to be the leaders in charging this basketball program is something that I will never forget. Our board, just to be in agreement and collectively united, to give me the opportunity, I say thank you. And then obviously the gentleman to my left, Eric Hyman, in my conversations with him over the last 2 days, the thing that just I could not step away from was his sincerity, the family atmosphere with which he runs this program athletically, the way it's connected with the university. That's what I'm about. And his belief in me. Those are things that it's hard to look past that. It's hard to not be willing to be a part of that. It's the same values I try to live my life by. So it's it was an immediate feel on my part that I wanted to be a part of this. Before I get into direction and where I'm at with things, I do want to clarify something because I was given an unbelievable opportunity this past weekend on CBS Sports. And, on Saturday I made some comments, and that's, it's the one part. I have unbelievable, I respect everybody. Everyone has a profession, and I have tremendous respect for everyone in their profession. I made some comments on CBS Sports about my experiences as a high school teacher, high school coach, and then the next day, headlines across the country was Frank Martin pays players. And that's not what I said. It's not what I said, and we have to understand, I spent 16 years of my life coaching high school basketball as a school teacher in the same inner city community that I grew up in. And there were cheerleaders, there were band members, there were kids in my math class, there were players that played for me, that I became their father figure, just like teachers at that school were my father figure when I was growing up, because I didn't have a father at home. And when those young men and those young ladies took the next step and went on to college, they didn't have $20 to get on the plane to go deal with airport expenses or whatever it may be when they got to college, and our relationship was so strong that they had to come to either myself, different administrators in the school building, because we were their family. Their moms, their dads, their grandmas, whoever it was that they had at home, they depended on us to help them raise that child. And those are the values of America and the school system that have gone away. We've become a community or a society that depends on test scores and not education anymore. But that's a different animal. We could attack that one a different day. But I wanted to clarify that situation, because I don't like it when things are used in a way that are different than what it's meant. And I've never paid a player in my life. Abiding by the rules is first and foremost on my agenda every single day. And I would not be here if I did it any differently. Dr. Pastides and Eric Hyman would not have it a different way. And they have my word that surprises will never happen, and rules will always be respected. But outside of that, I can't tell you how excited I am. I love challenges. Some people run away from challenges. I run to challenges. I've been doing it my whole life. It's what I get excited about. Excuse me. A lot of credit to Darren Horn. He has built a program and put in some fundamentals, some basics, some responsibility in place, which makes this job very doable. It makes our mission easier to attain, and it's never easy. But he did a lot of good. Some good kids in the program that have been held accountable, that have represented this school well in every way, except that win column. And it's my duty to try and complete that part. As Eric and I spoke, there were certain things that immediately jumped out at me. I spoke to you about his mission and his passion and what he's about and what the South Carolina family is about. But then there was also other things that professionally I stepped back and look at, and I saw Steve Spurrier, Ray Tanner, Don Staley. And I said, those are three people that can coach anywhere in the country, that have unbelievable credentials, yet they've chosen South Carolina. They've chosen the University of South Carolina. And all three of them have one thing in common: they win. They just don't win games, they win. They win every day. And I kept looking at that and I said, I want this challenge. I want to lead the men's basketball program to the same place that these folks are leading their respective programs. The history that's here is incredible. I'm big in history. One of my biggest missions when I got to Kansas State was reconnecting with the past that they had, using traditions to sell your program. See, in recruiting, you can go sell a dream, but if it's a dream, then you better hope somebody's willing to believe in it. When you go in and you sell tradition, when you sell reality, all you're trying is to get people to believe that we're going to do it again. That makes recruiting a heck of a lot easier because it's been proven that it's been done before. And that's what we're going to do here in South Carolina. We're going to utilize that incredible tradition, that incredible history, whether it be names such as Bobby Cremins or Eddie Fogler or Zam Frederick or Brian Winters or Alex English or a young man that I got to coach for a year, Devin Downey, B.J. Mackey. I don't care who they are. We're going to use those people. We're going to reconnect them with our program. Those names I just threw out there had tremendous success in their time here and have had tremendous success after their experience here. They take pride in being a Gamecock. And it's my job to reconnect them with the present program to help us go recruit the next one. To give that next one something to shoot for, I want to be the next Devin Downey. I want to be the next Alex English. And when you show them that that has happened here before, that's not a dream anymore. That's reality. And it's a lot easier to sell reality than it is to sell a dream. I don't promise things. You know, 5-year plan, 3-year plan. I've never, as a old high school coach, I used to sit there and see that. I never understood what that meant. Only thing I promise is the following, that our guys will be held accountable every day for whatever they are responsible for. Every single day. We will maximize who we are every day. Not sometimes, every day. Whether it's an academic responsibility, whether it's a community responsibility, because our guys will be in the community. They will be in the elementary schools. They will be doing community projects to make this a better place. So they understand the importance of impacting people in a positive way. The one thing that I can promise as your basketball coach is that every time we take the floor, we will play the game the right way. We will compete. That's not an option. I tell guys all the time, when you finish college and you become a man, you got to do your job as a husband, a father, an employee, 365 days a year. That means you have to be unselfish and committed to the team duty 365 out of 365. As a college athlete, basketball in specific, if you're lucky, you get an opportunity to do it 35 times a year. What kind of a man does that make us if we can't sacrifice and be unselfish and be committed to doing our jobs to the best of our abilities 35 times a year compared to 365 when they step foot away from college? And that's something that's a message that we never stop delivering. Our guys will be known as the hardest playing team in America. There's no out on that one. Our guys will compete. We will rebound. We will defend. We will run. I tell one of my assistant coaches, because he likes to tell me all the time, he said, Frank, we're still top 5 in the country in offensive rebounding. We've been that every year. And it's true. One year we dropped to 7 at the end of the year. So every time he says that, I'll turn to him and I say, well, if you recruit guards that can shoot better, maybe we don't have to rebound as much. But, but that's a guarantee that I give you. And with that, then comes our fans. See, we want to play hard and passionate because when fans pay their dollars that they earn to come watch a game, there's nothing that upsets me more than a team that doesn't lay it on the line to give them fans what they deserve, which is the pride of their university represented through that team. Our guys will compete. Our guys will play the game the right way. I've got no wiggle room on that one. I got wiggle room in a lot of things. There's absolutely no wiggle room with that responsibility. So our fans are going to enjoy our style of play, and we will put 18,000 people in this arena. Because before I open it up to questions, I've got one impression that's in my mind about South Carolina basketball here in the just recent history. Since I coached Devin Downey for a year, I got to know him as a kid. I started watching him when he transferred here because we were at K-State. And I'll never forget the atmosphere when they beat Kentucky, who was #1 in the country in this building. I know it's going to happen There's no doubt in my mind that it will happen. It's just a matter of us starting to play the game a certain way and giving you folks something to be proud of. And then we're going to stick 18,000 every time we play in this building, and we're going to make this the hardest arena in the country for anybody to play. And that's our mission, and that's what we're going to do. And with that, I'd love to answer your questions. I'm sure you don't have any.
We'll start over here. If you could give your name, please, where you're from, so Frank can start to get to know you.
David Cloninger with GamecockCentral.com. Coach, how did this process of you coming to USC start? Who made the first move, and just how did the progression happen?
I'll let Eric get in detail of all that stuff. The last 48 hours have been crazy. You know, it's been crazy. I'll give you a quick little story. Obviously, all you folks know I was doing live studio work this weekend. And, you know, Friday night, I was sitting with my wife watching Jersey Boys. And I'm getting all these text messages about me being at a press conference on Saturday. And I'm saying, are you kidding me? How can I be there if I'm going to be doing CBS work? And, but obviously this intensified, and it was we're going to play basketball the way Eric Hyman full court pressed me for the last 48 hours. That's how we're going to play basketball. That's the intensity that we're going to play with. Charles Barkley, Kenny Smith, Greg Anthony, I don't mean to put their dirt out there, but on Sunday, they all threatened to fine me and hurt me if I didn't say yes to this. That's the kind of respect that South Carolina basketball has in those people's eyes. But it's been, you know, Saturday, Sunday, it's been real intense.
Over here to Andy.
Andy Shane from the State Newspaper. Coach, you've had a real good run at Kansas State. What was it about that was the tipping point for you in deciding to leave Kansas State to come to South Carolina, considering the run that you had in Manhattan?
That's the most difficult thing that I've ever had to do in my life, was make this decision. Because when I had to speak to Rodney Magruder and Jordan Enriquez and those guys and tell them that I was making this decision, was hard because I was making a selfish decision. Because that's a great place, great people, great fans, and it's a place that gave me my first opportunity ever. But like I told you, I can't, lying is different. Some people are good dancing around stuff. I stink at that stuff. I'm a straight shooter. And I couldn't get past the enthusiasm, the desire that Eric Hyman has for this basketball program to be good again. And I like challenges. I get invigorated by a challenge. And getting this program back to where it belongs was something that just I embraced from the first second.
Levi Johnson, South Carolina Black Media Group. Coach, what trepidations do you have as you take on this new assignment?
I don't see. Here's my thing. How I approach who I am every day. Obviously, with my job situation, there's a lot of critics and there's a lot of positive people. I understand both of them. I don't fight to make the critics change their mind. I fight every day to do my job to the best of my abilities for the people that believe in me. And that's how I approach it every day. That's my thought process. I know based on what ESPN likes to put out there that a lot of people think I'm very negative. I am the most positive human being that you'll ever come across. And but just connecting with this community as fast as I can is the most important thing to me. And then players in that locker room that just became our players now. They were your players, now I'm a part of it. Just making sure that they're at a peace of mind and in the right place.
Go back of the room.
Hey, Coach. Adam Pinsker from Watch Fox TV here in town. You alluded to this a few minutes ago about making this place the toughest venue in the country. This past year, you had a lot of visiting teams. Their fans almost outnumbered the Gamecock fans here. It was a lot different than it was when Devin Downey was here a few years ago. How do you build up the excitement, and how do you maintain it so there's a new tradition here at the University of South Carolina?
Well, it all starts with how we play the game. I can stand up here and talk to we're all blue in the face. At the end of the day, it's about us going out there and playing the game the right way and winning games. And when you do that, people get excited. And it starts with our season ticket sales. You know, it's our job to represent our fans, our alums, the right way where they want to be a part of it. We're getting ready to go on a ride here, and it's going to be a fun ride. And we want 18,000 people on that roller coaster ride with us. Because it's not always going to be great, but you know what? When you hit the bottom of that roller coaster, there's only one thing you know, is that turn's coming and sending you back up. And we want 18,000 to be with us while we're on that ride. And it's going to be a whole lot of fun. And selling this arena out falls on our staff and our players doing our jobs the right way.
Over here.
Daryl Slater from the Charleston Post and Courier. Yeah, Frank, you obviously have a very intense style on the court, and it's worked very well for you at K-State. How did you develop that style, and why do you think it works for you in an age when a lot of people say you can't be hard on kids?
It's who I was in 1985 when I accepted my first coaching job from my high school coach. And I've never deviated from that. You know, it's holding kids accountable. See, I think the misconception out there is that we blame kids for lacking discipline. Don't blame kids. It's also adults that don't hold kids accountable, that teach them how not to be disciplined. And we keep putting the onus on the kids rather than accepting it like big boys to make them do right. And that's a battle that I'll never stop fighting. I understand that I appear to be different in today's society because I'm a little passionate and I'm not scared to be honest. I'm the same human being. I don't care if there's 1 camera or 5 million cameras. I'm not going to change my persona. I'm not going to change my passion for those kids. And I tell kids all the time, I don't care if you have a bad practice. It's my job to tell you you have bad practice. See, Tom Brady had one of the greatest quotes of all time. I pay attention a lot. I really do. I tell kids all the time, the best skill that you can develop is listening. Because if you listen, then you can understand how to develop your mind with other people's thoughts and actions. And you remember when the offensive coordinator came to Brady and started screaming at him because he threw the interception in the end zone? You know, in today's day and age, everybody, how do you do that to Tom Brady? I can't believe he did that to Tom Brady. Oh my God, Tom Brady this, Tom Brady that. After the game, I don't know if you remember what Tom Brady said. He said, it is his job to tell me when I do something stupid. That's his job. It's so refreshing to hear that from an athlete, you know, and that's my job. It's my job to make them do things right and to hold them accountable. Now, I'll say this now, they need me at 2 o'clock in the morning, they don't have to think about it, I'm there. I don't care if they had a good game, a bad day, a bad practice. See, I don't worry about the final score of the game. I worry about the final score in life. I want to prepare those guys to succeed in life. And when you do that, you learn how to be committed, you learn how to be passionate, you learn how to be loyal, you learn how to be honest. And when you live your life with those values, I think that scoreboard out there is going to take care of itself. And that's the way I try to go about my business. But I'm real passionate about kids, about people, and making them understand the incredible opportunity that they have as student athletes to take advantage of that and not let those days slip away.
Josh.
Frank, Josh Kendall with the state newspaper. On the flip side of that, you mentioned in your opening comments that you've made an effort to change the public perception. What precipitated that, and why did you think that that was necessary?
Absolutely. And it's not change who I am. It's evolve. This year I took a stance publicly, and it was about my use of foul language on the sideline. There's no place for that. There's no place, and it's a competitive world, and it's something that it can easily slip. I tell people all the time, when IBM has difficult meetings with their leaders, it's behind closed doors. I guarantee you there's some words that are spoken that people wouldn't want to hear. Our meetings are games. The meetings that our team has, where we're judged by, is those games. So it's competitive. And I took a stance on that because that can't happen. It's not right. I'm asking my own children, my wife, sit right behind the bench, and I came home one day, and it's something that I've fought for 27 years now. This isn't just a revelation I had this year. I've gotten better at it every year. And I came home this year, and my 4-year-old said, "Daddy, you said a bad word today. That's not good." And, you know, and that kind of told me, Frank, you know, there's other kids back there also that has to stop. Comes from that. I'm not trying to change public perception for me. That made me understand that my passion, if I allow it to get to a certain point, it's going to negatively impact the kids, the university, the people that believe in me. So it all comes back to the people that believe in me. And that's not fair to them. So that's why I've tried to make a change there.
Dexter.
Hey, Coach. Dexter Hudson with Spurs and Feathers. Just curious about the staff you think you'll be bringing in with you. Do you think you'll bring a lot of the Kansas State staff here?
I'm going to visit with the staff that's in place right now here, your coaches, the staff that were here. Tomorrow, I'm going to start visiting with them in person. I've been in their shoes. It's a lonely place to be. I'll never forget what it feels like to be in that moment. I've been in that situation where the possible head coach came in and refused to see any of us. And that's not, I don't forget those things. And so I will visit with them and make those decisions accordingly. My previous staff, I'm going to speak with them today. This I'm telling you, Eric Hyman's full court press is incredible. The last 2.5 days between CBS Sports and Eric, it's been so consuming. I didn't even tell my mom till last night. And so our staff back home understands. I'm going to visit with them. I'm going to visit with our staff here. And then I'll make those decisions as this week continues here. But I've got tremendous respect for the guys that were here before me. And I respect the situation that they're in. And we'll visit with them and we'll figure out what's best for our program.
Let's go back over this side. TV picture.
Coach Rob Brennan, ABC Columbia. You just talked about the honesty that you have, the intensity. It seems like a lot of fans are really fired up for that and really happy that you're bringing that to the table. I guess my question to you is, when will Gamecock fans finally see that Frank Martin stare here in Columbia?
The first time somebody turns it over, first time one of those officials walks in, that's going to get me going right away. I'll say this. I don't want our fans to sit and fold their arms. I want our fans to lose their minds and be passionate in the right way, with respect to the opponent, and cheer for our guys, because they appreciate the way that our staff coaches, and more importantly, the way our players play. And it's hard we have to do our job, and that'll all take care of itself. Because getting back to the previous question, I'm not trying to change who I am. I'm trying to evolve as a human being. But that passion, that's with me to the day they put me under. That's not going anywhere.
Let's go back over here to Gene.
Hey, Frank. Before Eric Hyman's full court press, had you ever been to the state of South Carolina, and what were your impressions of the state? And then, as a recruiter from afar, what did you think of high school basketball in South Carolina?
I've been in Columbia once before, and it was years ago. I was driving to Pittsburgh, and I spent the night in Columbia. This is 19. God, I'm getting old. 97 maybe. I was on my way up to work 5-star camp, and I actually stopped through here and just spent the night. And I've been fortunate in my high school years because I went out and worked a lot of basketball camps. I was involved with AAU basketball. I didn't just coach 20 high school games a year. It was a year-round job for me. And because of that, I got to meet unbelievable amount of people around the country in the grassroots of basketball, including the state of South Carolina. I've got unbelievable respect for the basketball that's played at the grassroots level in the state of South Carolina. I think it's, I think the talent pool here is something that we need to keep these kids home. And obviously, I would hope you understand that the details and all that are something that I've got to be very vague about, but it's, you can't, what Eric said is exactly true. You know, recruiting in basketball has become a national thing. Kids are willing to get up and leave. But here, you have to protect your home court. You've got to make sure that you embrace the people that are in your backyard and want them to grow up to be a South Carolina Gamecock. And that's what excites me about this, because they're there. Now it's up to us to put our arms around them and want them to be here. And like I said earlier, let's not forget that this is the University of South Carolina. And every young man that aspires to play college basketball, we want them to be a Gamecock. And it's my job to get out there and deliver that message.
Let's go back over here.
Coach Martin, Dean Stevens out of the ABC in Charleston. Curious if you have reached out to Bruce Ellington, if you've spoken to him, and also Coach Fogler's here today. I wonder if you reached out to Coach Fogler before deciding to take this job.
Yeah, I spoke with Eddie last night, and like I said, I can't be more thankful for who he is. And then this morning, I visited with the team for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, just kind of a get to know each other kind of deal right there. And I know who Bruce is. I remember watching Bruce play when he was in the AAU circuit. We all go recruiting, and we're all in the same events and see different kids from different places. When the time is right here over the next 2, 3, 4 days, as I continue to allow him to get to know me, we'll cross those bridges as we move forward. But I'm extremely excited about him and the other guys in that locker room. I think it's a locker room that has a whole lot of positives. And now it's just a matter of putting all that together and go win the games. But we're too soon into this. It's like Eric said, 15 years ago, I probably, when the courtship, would have had time to sit down and visit with individual players and all that to help he make his decision, me make mine. That full court press doesn't let you make those decisions, so quickly. So we'll get to that as we move forward. But I can't tell you how excited I am to know he's a part of it.
Middle here, Bart.
Coach, in acquiring this talent, there's this impression that kids today are kind of self-centered, selfish, and that impression would seem to run counter to your hard coaching approach. But when you approach these kids, you find out that they actually want somebody to hold them accountable. What's the reception? What kind of reaction do you get?
I'd be more than happy to give you my BlackBerry, and you can see the messages I'm getting from people all over the place, including recruits and things of that nature. Take everything, look at everything in general. Don't just look at young kids. Let's look at the NBA, since it is basketball we're talking about. Why is there always good organizations and always bad organizations? Because people allow that selfishness in. People allow that cancer into their organization, and once you let it in, it's hard to get it out. And then you look at the Lakers and the Bulls and the Celtics, and they don't allow that in their organization. It's not tolerated. And my opinion on that is I'm all about kids. I work with them. I'm patient with them. As long as they're taking steps forward, I'm going to step to them and grab them and help them move in the right direction as fast as they can. But when they continue to worry about themselves first and foremost and put all that above the whole, I'm kind of cut and dry at that. You know, there's 347 Division I schools. There's 346 other places that selfishness can be tolerated if they choose to. It won't be tolerated with us. And, you know, and we say that to the parents. Because the only promise that I make to families when they allow me to go in their home is that when their experience at South Carolina is over, there's one thing that I can't live with. That's if that family feels I cheated their child. That I didn't give everything off my back to make that young man a better player and a better human being, to better prepare him for life. If they can say that, then I didn't do my job, and then it's hard for me to sleep.
Richie.
Read, they don't listen. I do. And, you know, everyone referred to me as, oh, he's nothing but a high school coach. Oh, he's nothing but a high school coach. And they were all trying to use it in a way to be derogatory, to kind of say that I'm ignorant. And what they didn't understand is that they were paying me the biggest compliment that any human being could pay me. Because as a high school coach, that makes me an educator. And it's something that I take tremendous pride in, which is people and teaching. I get out of bed every morning and I've got one thought in my mind. What do I have to do today to positively influence those young men that believe in me? What do I have to do to help them get better? That's all I'm consumed with that. That is my daily agenda. And as a high school teacher, as a high school coach, you have to deal with 13-year-old kids, 18-year-old kids. And you have to get them to understand what it takes to succeed in college. And being a teacher is what I'm about. I don't know how long college basketball. Frank Fraschilla had a great line. I said to him, Franny, why did you get out? He said, I got out because of illness. I said, illness? I never knew you were sick. He said, Frank, I was sick of them, they were sick of me. If that day ever comes for me, which hopefully it's not, because I'm having the time of my life, and with this challenge in front of me, I don't know when I'll sleep again, but if I ever get to that moment, I will be at peace with retiring the way I started as a high school teacher. Those years made me who I am today.
You have time for a couple more, Rick?
Coach Rick Henry, WIS-TV, right here in Columbia. We see your intensity, we see your passion for basketball. I was just wondering, what do you do to relax, to get that balance in your life so you can avoid burning yourself out?
See her at the end of the table over there. I better balance it out, or else I got a bad problem when I get home. Now, I'll share a great story with you, and this is the truth. When I was single, with no children, I'd get home from a bad practice, and I'd sit on my couch, and I'd start watching tape. And you sit there, and you don't remove the negativity from that day. It's hard to get out of your system, because now you spend all night focusing in on all the things that went wrong. And I'd wake up the next day, and now I'm tired, and I'm also feeling, not negative, but beat down, because I feel that I'm not doing my job well enough because the kids aren't doing things the way they're supposed to. Well, obviously I get married, we have children, and what's happened is it's made me understand when I walk in that house and my wife is happy to see me, and those kids come running up and say, Daddy's home, Daddy's home, Daddy's home. It's allowed me to put things to the side. And it's allowed me to embrace the next day and be more excited for the next day. Look where I'm at. I'm sitting here excited as heck about this challenge. I was doing national television with Charles Barkley, Greg Anthony, Greg Gumbel, Kenny Smith, all because of that orange pill. Are you kidding me? How lucky I am. I'm living a dream. Every day I wake up, there can't be people that are luckier than me on this planet. It's all because of that basketball.
Let's go over here.
Coach Taylor Kearns, also from WIS-TV here in Columbia. You mentioned the language. Are you at all excited about the prospect of being able to yell "Go Cox" in public and not get a funny look from folks?
Can y'all pass it?
You really want me to answer that? And that language thing is behind me. I'm sure I'll slip up. We all make mistakes, but that's behind me. That's, I pray hard every night to help me to get better. And that's a department that I need to continue to get better at.
Isabel?
Isabel Krishudian, Daily Gamecock. You said yourself that this is viewed as a challenge by a lot of people. Just what was some of the reaction that you got from your colleagues when it became clear that you were going to accept this position?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Coaches, Bobby Cremens called yesterday with Perry Clark and just ecstatic. Ecstatic for his alma mater, ecstatic for me to become a part of his alma mater. People that are dear to me, Anthony Grant, the head coach at Alabama, he and I are high school graduates. He's godfather to our oldest son. He's like a brother to me. He didn't view this. He said to me, he said, Frank, he said, our league just got better. And, across the board, I mean, just from national media people, the feedback that's gotten back to me that I have not been able to respond to yet because I've been running around a little bit has been just, it's humbling. I'm kind of embarrassed that so many people are so happy for me. That tells me just what a special place this is.
We'll take two more, Phil.
Coach Phil Kornblut, South Carolina Radio Network. What role did your relationship with your AD at Kansas State play in you deciding to put yourself out there and maybe look at some other opportunities that were coming up?
None. We live in a society today where everybody always looks for a problem. Like when Syracuse beat us, it's like, what did you guys do wrong? But you know what? Sometimes the other team is just better than you. And they did things a little better than you on that day. Everyone's trying to create a firestorm. That administration has been phenomenal. I'm telling you, I can't be more thankful for the way that administration treated us. They gave us what we needed. And it's unfortunate that, because of the social media stuff, that people that don't know anything make comments and it becomes a firestorm. If the people reporting that had ever been in meetings between John Curry and I think their opinions would be a little different.
Last one over here to Corey.
Coach, Corey Miller, 5'6", of the team here in Columbia. Growing up in the inner city of Miami, how do you feel like that helps you relate to a lot of these kids in recruiting and coaching them on the court, being that you didn't have a father?
It's, everybody, here's my experience. Because I grew up in it, and, when you're in school, we started putting labels on kids because they didn't want to do their work. But I didn't want to go in the weight room. I didn't want to do homework. I didn't want to go to class. I didn't want to do any of that stuff. So they put labels on you rather than make you do things. You see, I tell people all the time, I'm not saying it's the answer, don't get me wrong. I feared that paddle. So because of that paddle, I learned how to do things. See, and here's an interesting thing about kids. You ask them to read a book, and they kind of throw it to the side, but yet they know every lyric to every song that's out there. So their ability to learn is good. Now it's up to us to motivate them, to get them to learn the things that we need them to do. And kids want discipline, man. When they step on you and they see you step back, they say, the heck with this guy. They just take advantage of you. They use you for whatever they can get. And at the end, what I tell kids, who's cheating who? Is it the adult that's getting cheated, or is it you that don't know any better? Because at the end of the day, when I was 18, I didn't know the difference from one thing or the other. I thought I had the answers. I didn't know anything. And it's because of the people in my life were willing to knock me upside my head to make me do my things the right way, that it's always taught me. And then my experience teaching in that school system, those kids want that discipline, man. When you give them that discipline, they might resist you at first because they're trying to see if you're being real with them. When they realize that you're in it to help them, then you've got And then they'll run through a brick wall for you. And that's been my experience. That's what that's taught me.
And with that, we'll wrap up the press conference. Appreciate everybody coming out. I think tickets are on sale, are they not, Eric? Season tickets? And thank everyone again for coming. Appreciate it.